Turn on your hot water tap right now. Hold your hand under it. Feel that heat arrive in 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5. Now ask yourself what that heat actually cost you. Not the water, the heat. In the average American home, water heating accounts for 18% of the total energy bill. That is $400 to $600 every single year. Money that leaves your account every month for something that has been available for free every single day since the first clear morning that sunlight fell on a black surface. Free, constant, unlimited. And the off-grid homesteaders who built this country before the gas pipeline arrived knew exactly how to capture it. They did not pay a single cent for hot water. Not in January, not in February, not through any Ohio winter on record. And the system they used was not complicated. It was not experimental. It was a calculated physics-based architecture of heat capture that maintained 120-degree water in their homes using nothing but a black pipe and sunlight. Stay with me until the end of this video, because the last detail I'm going to show you is something buried in a 1908 federal housing report that documented this exact system across 400 rural homesteads. Something the natural gas lobby fought to remove from residential building codes for 30 consecutive years. Something that still works today on any roof, in any climate, for under $30 in materials. $30 once, no monthly bill attached to it forever. Now I need you to understand one thing before we go any further. Hot water is not a modern invention. It is a modern industry. The need for hot water is as old as human civilization. The solution has always existed in the physical world. What is modern is the infrastructure built to make sure you pay for that solution every single month rather than capturing it yourself. In 1891, a Baltimore inventor named Clarence Kemp patented the first commercial solar water heater. He called it the Climax. It was a black metal tank mounted on a south-facing roof. Sunlight heated the water inside the tank throughout the day. The homeowner drew hot water directly from the tank in the evening. No fuel, no flame, no bill. By 1900, Kemp had sold over 1,600 units in California alone. By 1920, an estimated 30% of homes in Miami, Florida, were using solar water heaters as their primary hot water source. 30% in 1920, a century ago. That number should stop you cold. Because if 30% of Miami homes had free solar hot water in 1920, the question is not why did this technology exist? The question is why does almost nobody in America use it today? The answer to that question is the most important thing in this video, and it has nothing to do with the technology. It has everything to do with what was built around the technology and what was deliberately dismantled. Let me start with the physics, because the physics is the part that genuinely surprised me the first time I understood it. Hot water does not require fire. It does not require combustion. It does not require any energy source other than the one that has been arriving at your roof every morning for 4.5 billion years. It requires a dark surface, a contained volume of water, and something called the greenhouse effect, operating at the scale of a single pipe. Here's how it works. Black surfaces absorb between 90 and 97% of incoming solar radiation. A black metal pipe filled with water and placed in direct sunlight on a clear day reaches internal water temperatures of 120 to 140 degrees Fahrenheit within 2 to 3 hours. Not in Arizona, not in Florida, in Ohio, in Pennsylvania, in states where off-grid homesteaders built these systems and used them as their primary hot water source through winters that would make a modern homeowner reach immediately for the thermostat. The pre-electrification builders understood something about heat retention that modern construction has completely abandoned. Water holds heat, not briefly, for hours. A properly insulated 40-gallon tank of water heated to 130 degrees in the afternoon will still be above 100 degrees at midnight. It will still be above 85 degrees the following morning. The sun does the work during the day. The insulation holds that work through the night. The system requires no energy input between sunset and sunrise. None. Not a single watt, not a single cubic foot of gas. This is not theory. This is thermodynamics. It has not changed since 1891. It has not changed since the first off-grid homesteader laid a black pipe across a south-facing roof and pulled hot water from it by evening. The system those homesteaders used is called a thermosiphon. And this is where the engineering becomes so simple that most people assume they are missing something. They are not missing anything. The simplicity is the point. It has always been the point. The builders who designed these systems were not working around a limitation. They were working with physics so fundamental that no amount of industrial lobbying has ever changed it. A thermosiphon works through a principle you already understand. Hot water rises, cold water sinks. That is the entire mechanism. No pump, no electricity, no moving parts of any kind. Here's the configuration. A black metal collector, a coil of pipe or a flat panel is mounted on the roof at an angle facing south. A storage tank is mounted slightly above and behind the collector, either on the roof or in the attic directly adjacent. Cold water enters the bottom of the collector from the storage tank. Sunlight heats the water inside the collector. The heated water becomes lighter and rises naturally into the upper portion of the storage tank. The cooler, heavier water in the tank drops down to replace it at the bottom of the collector. The cycle continues without any mechanical assistance for as long as sunlight is available. No pump, no controller, no thermostat, no electricity. The temperature differential between the heated collector and the cooler tank water drives the entire circulation. The system is self-regulating. When sunlight is strong, circulation is fast and temperatures climb. When clouds pass, circulation slows. At night, the temperature equalizes and circulation stops. The stored heat stays in the tank. The 1908 Federal Housing Report I mentioned documented this exact configuration across homesteads in Ohio, Pennsylvania, Indiana, and Kentucky. The average measured hot water temperature at point of use in the evening was 118 degrees Fahrenheit. The average fuel cost for water heating in those homesteads was 0. That number appears in the original document. 0. Now here is where the suppression of this knowledge becomes impossible to ignore. And I want to be precise about this because the history is documented and the timeline is not an accident. In 1920, as I mentioned, solar water heating was standard practice across large portions of the American South and Southwest. The technology was proven, affordable, and widely understood. Then, the natural gas pipeline infrastructure began its rapid expansion across the United States through the 1920s and 1930s. And the economics of that expansion required customers. Permanent, continuous, captive customers who would pay a monthly fee for the heat they needed. A homeowner with a thermosiphon on the roof was not a customer. A homeowner without one was. The gas industry did not ban solar water heaters. They did not need to. They did something far more effective. They priced gas so cheaply during the initial infrastructure build-out that the economics of solar appeared unfavorable by comparison. They worked with builders and developers to standardize gas water heater installation as the default in new residential construction. They ensured that building codes in state after state treated gas water heaters as the baseline assumption and solar thermal systems as specialty installations requiring additional permits and inspections. Within one generation, the thermosiphon went from a standard feature on 30% of Florida homes to a curiosity that most licensed plumbers had never installed. The knowledge did not fail. The infrastructure around it was systematically dismantled and replaced with infrastructure that generated monthly revenue. Florida Solar Energy Center researchers documented this exact historical pattern in a 1992 study reviewing the decline of solar water heating adoption between 1920 and 1960. The study found no technical reason for the decline. The technology continued to work exactly as it had in 1891. The decline was entirely economic and regulatory. Someone built a more profitable system and made sure yours disappeared. And here's what that disappearance has cost you. If you have owned a home for 20 years and heated your water with gas or electric, you have spent between $8,000 and $12,000 on water heating alone. Money paid monthly, automatically, invisibly, for a service that a black pipe and a storage tank could have provided at no ongoing cost whatsoever. That is not a small number. That is a car. That is a college semester. That is $8,000 to $12,000 that flowed from your account into the gas company's revenue because someone in 1930 decided that your self-sufficiency was incompatible with their business model. Now let me give you exactly what you need to build this system, because everything I have described is history and physics, and neither one heats your shower. Here is the practical reality of what a thermosiphon installation looks like on an existing home today. You need 4 things: a collector, a storage tank, connecting pipes, and insulation. That is the complete system. No additional components, no control systems, no power supply. For the collector, the traditional off-grid approach uses black-painted copper pipe coiled or arranged in a flat configuration inside a glazed wooden frame. The frame is essentially a shallow box with a glass or polycarbonate cover. The black pipe absorbs sunlight. The glazing traps the heat inside the box, creating a localized greenhouse effect that pushes temperatures significantly higher than an unglazed pipe would reach. A collector measuring 4 feet by 8 feet, which is 32 square feet of glazed surface, produces sufficient heat for a family of 4 in most American climates for 9 to 10 months of the year. Total material cost for a DIY copper pipe collector built with materials from any hardware store runs between $80 and $120. Not $800, not $100 or $200. $80 to $120. For the storage tank, a well-insulated 40-gallon tank mounted in an insulated enclosure on the roof or in an adjacent attic space serves the thermal mass function. The tank does not need to be a specialty solar component. Any food-grade tank wrapped in closed cell foam insulation and housed in a reflective enclosure holds heat effectively for 12 to 18 hours after sunset. The off-grid homesteaders documented in the 1908 survey used galvanized steel tanks wrapped in sawdust-filled wooden boxes. The physics was identical to what modern insulation achieves. The material cost was essentially 0. For the connecting pipes, standard half-inch copper runs from the bottom of the storage tank to the bottom of the collector, and from the top of the collector back to the top of the tank. The thermosiphon effect does the rest. No pump required. Gravity and temperature differential drive the entire circulation. For insulation, the pipe runs connecting the collector to the tank must be insulated to prevent heat loss in transit. Standard foam pipe insulation available at any hardware store for under $10 per run is sufficient. The total material cost of a complete DIY thermosiphon system, collector, tank, pipe runs, insulation, and mounting hardware, runs between $200 and $350. A licensed plumber installing a conventional gas water heater charges $800 to $1,500 for the unit alone before labor, before the monthly gas bill begins. The payback period on a thermosiphon system at average American gas water heating costs is between 8 and 14 months. After that, the hot water is free. Not cheaper, free for the 20 to 30 year functional lifespan of the system. There is no subscription, there is no rate increase, there is no pipeline company deciding what your hot shower costs this winter. The sun sets the price, and the sun charges nothing. Now, here is the part that most people who study off-grid water heating have missed, and this is the detail I found in the 1908 Federal Report that I have never seen discussed in any modern homesteading guide, any DIY solar forum, or any plumbing resource I have ever encountered. The off-grid homesteaders documented in that survey did not stop at the thermosiphon. The ones whose systems performed best through the harshest winters had added a second layer that amplified the collector's performance dramatically. They buried a 20-foot coil of black pipe 6 inches below the soil surface in front of the south-facing collector wall, connected to the collector inlet. Groundwater temperature at 6 inches below the surface stabilizes at approximately 50 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit, year-round in most American climates. That is significantly warmer than the 30 to 35 degree inlet water temperature common in winter municipal supply. By routing the cold water inlet through this shallow buried coil before it entered the collector, the homesteaders were pre-warming their inlet water by 15 to 20 degrees using passive geothermal exchange before it ever reached the solar collector. That 15 to 20 degree pre-warming reduced the work required of the collector in winter by roughly 30%. The result was consistent 110 to 120 degree output water even on December days in central Ohio when ambient temperatures sat in the mid-20s. The system required no additional pump, no additional electricity, no additional anything, 20 feet of black pipe buried 6 inches underground, and the thermal mass of the earth itself doing quietly what the gas company has been billing you for every single month of every single winter of your adult life. No additional cost, no additional energy. 20 feet of buried black pipe and the stable thermal mass of the earth itself doing work that the gas company charges you for every single month. The 1908 report called this configuration a ground-coupled solar thermal system. The engineers who wrote it understood it completely. They measured it. They documented it across 400 homesteads. The document was filed, archived, and forgotten inside 2 generations as the gas infrastructure made it economically irrelevant to the industry, if not to the homeowner. It is not irrelevant now. Gas prices have risen 340% since 1980 in inflation-adjusted terms. The physics of a black pipe and sunlight has not changed by a single degree. The earth temperature 6 inches below your yard is the same today as it was in 1908. The sun that fell on those Ohio rooftops is the same sun falling on yours right now. The only thing that changed is whether anyone told you that you could use it. I want to know one specific thing from you before you go. What does your current water heating bill cost you every month? Leave that number in the comments below. Just the number, nothing else, because the numbers you leave tell me exactly which direction to take this series next. And there is a lot more where this came from. What comes next is the off-grid food preservation system that pre-electrification homesteaders use to keep vegetables, dairy, and meat fresh for 12 to 18 months without refrigeration. The refrigeration industry spent 40 years making sure that system never appeared in a single modern kitchen guide. That story makes this one look like the introduction. Subscribe and stay close. The knowledge was never truly lost. It was always waiting to be found.